and welcome back to this week's episode of the CI Sports Zone. I am one of the co-hosts, Christopher Huselig. Joining with me, as always, my other co-host, Thomas Garverick, and two of our real good buddies here who love to join and talk high school football. That is the GM of Clutch Sports Media, Jonathan Michael, and the Patrick Michael Cunningham III.
Jonathan blending in with his background.
I know. That was completely unplanned.
Red on red for Jonathan.
You know what's funny is I almost wore, I was trying to find a red quarter zip at my house that I wanted to wear. It looked a little bit nicer in my opinion, but couldn't find it. Some were hiding, and I almost glad I didn't, because then I would have looked, I mean, it is that exact shade of red. So I would have completely blended in.
Good thing we don't have to use a green screen.
I love
behind
it.
you.
In the fall, it's all about quarter zips, QZs, I like to call them, and vest season. It's all about vest season and QZ season. That's my wardrobe in the fall. So thank God we've made it to that. And it's not 90 degrees in October anymore. Now it's November, and it's actually, Mother Nature's finally cooperating. So,
Well, well, fellas, as much as I love talking about Jonathan blending into the background and some weather, we had some pretty packed weekend for our sports guys here as we had to get some playoff
pretty packed is an
football
understatement.
Yes.
Crazy, fun opening weekend of high school football in the first round. We got a lot to talk about.
I was going to say Saturday was a banner day for Central Illinois football. I mean, we were guaranteed to lose one team with Hayworth and Princeville playing each other. But outside of that, only one team lost on Saturday in Olympia, losing in a shootout. But so a solid Saturday for Central Illinois football. We got 15 teams still alive. That
Pretty
is
crazy.
probably
That's probably
the most after week one of the playoffs in my now fourth year here. So it's a good problem to have when you're like, man, we have 15 teams. We got to
They're
find a
all
way to get
playing
to all
at
this.
1 o'clock,
Yes.
or 2 o'clock, or 3 o'clock on Saturday.
And there's a lot of teams at home this week, especially in
Yes.
small schools.
Because they're underseeded. And I got a spicy take when we get to some of our underseeded teams. Spicy.
Let's go.
Yes.
Well, fellas, starting off, we're going to kind of, for those who paid attention last week, we kind of went in order from 1A to 6A. We're going to switch that up a little bit, and we're going to review going from 6A back down. So starting off, the first kind of game I feel we all wanted to talk about was the much anticipated rematch.
Yes.
Between Dunlap and Pekin, which
Jonathan on the call, Patrick on the sideline. I listened to Jonathan for a little bit on the WMD Plus app. That was a masterclass.
I saw you out the window of the.
I showed up at halftime. I was like, well, I'm done until, I had to anchor the 10 o'clock news. I'm like, I'm just going to come and shoot for the stands for the heck of it. So.
Well, hey, it was good to see you there. You didn't have a ton of room in the press box to squeeze you in, but would have loved that happen. If you wanted to shoot highlights from behind my back, stand over me, hold the camera, you could have done that, and I wouldn't have cared. It would have been a lot of fun. But no, it was a really dominant performance from Dunlap, especially at the line of scrimmage. I mean, they just ran the ball right at Pekin, and Pekin couldn't really stop it that much. I mean, again, Dunlap's ground attack of Blake Dietz and Jaden Schmick. Even Truman Tyra can run a little bit too as well. Joey Joseph got in the game a little bit, and the sophomore that's going to be one to keep an eye on for Dunlap too. So really a good win for Dunlap overall. The game was never really much in doubt. Pekin kind of had some responses a little bit earlier on in the game, but again, it was really just kind of a overall fairly complete performance from the Eagles. Tyra looked good throwing the ball. I know 2 weeks ago, Steve Cease, our other correspondent, was at that Week 9 game. He said that's the key for Dunlap is if Truman Tyra throws the ball well, and he certainly did on Friday. So Dunlap is looking good. Again, they're on the road, got a tough one against Crete Moni, who Patrick just mentioned before we went on air, put up 73 points last week.
Wow.
So could be a shootout in Crete. I think it's going to be a fairly close game, though. I think Dunlap, if they play the way they did against Pekin, they can hang with them.
And just a note for all of our viewers, when you're seeing all these highlights, we literally took Patrick and Kurt's stuff from Friday and then on Saturday, and we mashed it all together. So right now you're seeing the Normal West highlights. We have our highlights from 6A all the way to 1A. So as you're watching it, we're going to be talking about all of the teams, just so people aren't like, hey, you guys are talking about Dunlap Pekin, but right now we're seeing Washington. So that was just the best way to do it for us. So that way everyone watching isn't like, what's going on here?
It just made my life easier, so I didn't have to try to keep thinking of which one to click next. Just get them all in there. Make my job a
just
little
would have
easy.
been punching buttons the whole time.
I just got back from a trip to Kansas. Thinking's not my friend right now.
But man, you know what, guys? I'll tell you what. I watched the first half of Dunlap on the app. Got to see them in the second half, and we talked about this weeks ago that the running game matters in the postseason, and Dunlap dominated on the ground. I mean, Patrick tweeted about it. There were so many angry runs in this game, but they controlled the line of scrimmage, and that was the difference. Pekin had no answer at the line of scrimmage.
For the first half and probably roughly through the third quarter, I mean, Pekin just could not stop Dunlap moving down the field. Dietz has always been a great runner this year, but Schmick over the last few weeks has also really stepped up for Dunlap. And man, he reminds me college-wise, if I made a comparison, and obviously he's not going to go to Notre Dame, but he runs like Jeremiah Love to me.
That's a really big compliment because Jeremiah Love is like the #1 running back prospect.
And what I mean by that is just he runs with all heart. His legs do not stop moving. There was a play there, his third touchdown of the night, where I think he dragged about half the Pekin defense with him, and it made me think of Jeremiah's 2-yard run against Penn State in the college football quarterfinals, where I think he broke like 8 tackles in 2 yards, and that's that's my comparison for Schmick runs like Jeremiah Love in that he runs with all heart. He doesn't care how many guys are on him. He's going to keep churning those legs until you bring him down.
That's a good win for Dunlap, and we'll talk about the other team that won in 6A. If we went to Normal West.
Absolutely. I got to see them for a little bit on Saturday. I was at 5 different games, 4 high school games. Woo. Got to see Illinois State. It was a day. It was a lot of fun, though.
And he got like 10 touchdowns in those 5 games. If I shot 5 games, I'd get like 3.
I got very, very lucky with stuff. We'll talk about Mr. Chestnut for Blono High in a bit. He had a monster game. But he did. Very impressed with Normal West. Malik Gibbons-Smith had an awesome game in that one, and West rolled 41-30.
Yeah, a big 11-point win. That's always crucial to get your juices rolling in the first. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're all good. Again, we had one of our Clutch Sports media reporters at that game, and he texted me while we were at the Metamora game on Saturday, and he said that West was down 12-0. And I was pretty surprised. I liked West as heavy favorites in that game, but they did what they did, and they found a response. West doesn't always win pretty, but, we're not in the business of style points, especially in the playoffs right now. Yeah. So, good comeback win for Normal West. Again, Gibbons-Smith was electric. It had multiple touchdowns, and Chase Sennett threw multiple touchdowns as well. I mean, how about the job that he's doing, again, as a backup quarterback, and, took the job over week 5, and has, been really pretty strong for Normal West throughout this whole playoff run. So, again, West also on the road. They got one of the longer trips of our area teams this week. They're up at Chicago Simeon and Gately Stadium at 1 p.m. But again, it's a rematch of their playoff matchup last year. They matched up in the first round last year, now in the second round this year. Pretty good game last year. Again, I still like West to win this week.
What's crazy about this is that Simeon was the 12 seed, and they beat the 5 seed 56-8.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Well, I'll tell you how that happens. That's Chicago Public League right there.
Yes,
that's Chicago Good, or Chicago Good or Goody, however you pronounce it. Having an inflated record for not playing a great schedule. Simeon, on the other hand, they play a little bit tougher of a schedule against some of the better teams that are in Chicago, like Kenwood and Morgan Park. So that score didn't necessarily surprise me too much, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe did a little bit.
I was going to say 50 points is still 50 points.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter who you're playing.
So the good thing for West is if they win, they're hosting next week no matter what, right?
Yes.
No matter what. It doesn't matter if the 1 seed or the 8 seed wins.
That would be correct. Now, the bad news is they're going to either face Chatham-Glenwood
or East St.
Louis.
And they faced East St. Louis, I think, 4 years in a row. Not in the second round this year like it has been the last couple of years. That would be the state quarterfinals. But,
yes.
I mean, I'm sure they're at least happy to be at least one round further separated from East St. Louis.
And either way, they get to host another playoff game at home if they were to win. But they have to obviously go on the road to Chicago and get it done on Saturday.
Well, kind of pivoting then from those 5A games, which, like we said, kind of looking good wins there for the Central Illinois teams. starting with 5A, I believe.
The money class. That's what I'm calling it this point.
Yeah, because there's
5A is the
one,
money class.
2, 3, 4 Central Illinois. I'm guessing this is our Washington and not some random.
Yeah,
That is our Washington.
Okay.
wasted no time
None.
silencing
Yeah.
any doubt that U-High, obviously U-High is not a 16 seed. We all know that. They're better than a 16 seed, but Washington just came out and said, we're going to dominate you from the beginning. They're up 28-0 after the first quarter. Crazy.
Yeah, I think that was a running clock win. I think UI scored kind of at the end, and I mean, yeah, that's what Washington does. I saw a very similar game. I think back it was week 4 when they're facing Pekin, and I mean, the game was almost over by the first quarter just because I mean they scored 2 touchdowns right off the bat, and again, when you were trying to play from behind against Washington, good luck. So again, big win for Washington. Again, their game against Muhammad Seymour this Saturday. That's going to be a great game. Muhammad Seymour's got a great fan base. We're going to be streaming that game live and for free on CIProud.com, so you can watch every snap of it. Our friends down at WCIA, I heard, are also picking up that game as well. So it should be a great atmosphere.
Look at that. Look at that crossover.
And
Jonathan Michael, he's a company man.
In Washington.
Might as well sign you to a next star contract.
Well, hey, that's I was talking with the other guys at WMVD, and they mentioned it. So yeah, happy to be doing that game. It's gonna be really good. Muhammad Seymour's again a team that's not in our coverage area, but a team that I have a lot of respect for. I mean, they are perennial powers year in year out.
Yep.
I think they'd be a great fit in the Mid-Illini Conference, but that's a discussion for another day.
Now, they did play Morton this year.
They
I
have
did
played
see
Morton a
that
lot.
game. I think Morton beat them.
Morton won by
this
1
year.
point.
Yes,
Yeah,
and that
only-
was a great game.
Yeah, it was. That was all the way back in week 1, and I would assume Muhammad Seymour is probably a little bit of a different team.
Yep.
They played a very battle-tested schedule,
Yep.
so it
Yes.
should be a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then that one also Saturday in Washington at 2. So
Yep.
if you don't want to watch it online,
Go to the
make the
game.
trip.
Go to the game.
It's not that far.
And that brings up, not to get off track, but brings me to another point, too, is one thing I noticed, not just in the area, but statewide. I saw this especially up in the Chicago areas from some sports reporters. Obviously, the last week was Halloween. Some people are doing stuff, they have plans or whatever, but I think the holiday really affected some of the in-person attendance at some of
Yes.
these games. Dunlap Pekin, again, atmosphere is great, good amount of fans that showed up. It was not quite completely packed, standing room only stands like I expected. And same was the case for some of the other games that I saw this week. And the difference was even more stark up in Chicago. There were some games, the 8A game, there was only one section of bleachers that was like completely filled. And there are 4 that were completely open. So I don't know what it is with temperatures dipping, ticket costs, whatever it is, but we need to, that's my challenge to everyone out there watching is to, obviously if you can't make it to the game, you're not able to, don't want to, that's all right. But make an effort you can to get out to there, be part of the atmosphere, because again, that's what makes playoff football so special.
Oh, 100%.
So we'd like to see some more attendance
100%.
in person at some of these games this
I
week.
will say for the Friday games, I will just go ahead and chalk that up to Halloween. For temperature-wise,
Yes.
yes, it was chilly. This is also the Midwest, and it's now November. This isn't a surprise
Yes.
to anybody.
Yes.
It's still going to be, Saturday it's going to be a little bit colder in the 40s, but still, it's like a lot of our area teams are at home. I expect attendance to be very, very good, especially because we have a lot of 7 to 10 we have 9 seeds and 10 seeds who are going to be hosting 1 seeds. Come on, I'm student body. If you don't come out to support your football team with the opportunity to knock out a 1 seed, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
I get it. And here's my other sidebar. If you have YouTube TV right now, you're not even watching any college football on Saturday. So go to the game, kids.
Yeah.
These are moments that you are never going to forget. Even if you're not on the football team, if you're just a part of the student body, go to the game. Don't stay at home. You can't watch college football. We're all mad at YouTube TV. We can't watch any ESPN or ABC games right now. Go to the game. The Illini, they're good, but you're not going to miss them. Go be a part of something bigger than yourself, just like JM said. Go to the game on Saturday.
Well, kind of after those 2 big rants, all right? If you guys didn't get the hint, let's go to the games, all right?
Go to the games.
Let's
Go to the games, darn it.
yes.
You'll see. I'll be at some of them. Say hi to me, please.
Yeah.
It's fun. We
Thomas
love it.
Thomas loves when people recognize him.
I just like when people, aren't scared to talk to me because I like to talk to people and get to know people.
Very nice guy. Always
Yeah.
say hey.
Try to be.
The next 5A game, kind of looking at Oak Forest versus Bloomington High School. Oak Forest coming off 38-12 win over Champaign Centennial. Bloomington with a big win over Mascoutah. I'm guessing.
Mascoutah, yes.
Mascoutah.
Nice job.
57-26. So this game will be played in Oak Forest at 2 p.m. I don't know where that is, to be honest. I'm not even.
South suburbs of
Yes.
Chicago.
Okay,
somewhere
I
around.
assumed it was up there somewhere. So, Jonathan, what are we looking for with these Bloomington Purple Raiders going into that one?
Well, Patrick, you said it. Kevion Chestnut, right? I mean, 5 touchdowns, I think? Close
Cinco.
To
He
to
had-
300 yards.
I was at that game. He had a hat trick in the first half and ended up with 5 touchdowns.
Yeah,
What a
that's-
night for him.
That's a huge win for Bloomington. Again, it's Bloomington has been up and down this season. They started off so hot, and then they lost 2-3 in a row near the end of the season. But I mean, that was a really statement win. And I've said this to multiple people, I think including Patrick. I like Bloomington's chances a lot against Oak Forest. You look at the seed lines, and Bloomington's 7, Oak Forest is the 2. I don't think Oak Forest, and nothing against the Bengals up there. They're a good team. They've earned their way in the playoffs, but they haven't played that great of a schedule. To be completely honest with you, they've beaten they beat 2 teams that made the playoffs. One of them was Lamont in Week 9. That was a good win. They also beat Thornton Fractional North, who went 6-3, but lost to Morton by 3 scores in the first round. So, and again, Champaign Centennial, earned their way in the playoffs, but Champaign Centennial didn't really beat anyone that good either. I think Bloomington is more battle tested, and that just goes so far in the playoffs. So, I also like Bloomington's chances to pull off a win and get to the quarterfinals this year.
I have not got the opportunity to see many of our Twin Cities teams this year. I'm usually in our Peoria area. I was really impressed with what I saw from the Purple Raiders. They started fast. They scored 4 touchdowns in the first quarter, but they didn't let their foot off the gas, right? It's very easy to get ahead and go, okay, we've
kinda
got the game in the
cruise.
bag.
Yep.
But I liked what I saw. They were disciplined. They didn't give Mascoutah anything for free. Mascoutah scored 26, but I forget how much they had at halftime. It was not close at all. But I was talking to Bloomington's assistant AD on the sideline, and he told me, he's like, this team is playing with a lot of confidence right now. And so I don't think this team is going to be scared, to Jam's point, of being a 7 seed and going on the road and playing a 2 seed. I like this Bloomington team a lot.
Well, and I like how fast they came out, because this is a team that, especially after how the second half of their season went, they needed some momentum here going into that type of game, especially when you're going on the road. The guy giving you 5 touchdowns and 57 points, and like you said, yeah, they allowed 26, but at halftime, I think it was not even close.
No, it was not
So,
close.
that you need momentum in the playoffs. Everyone says that we're resetting, we're 0-0, but there's teams who go into the playoffs feeling better than other teams just based on how the last few weeks went. And when Oak Forest, that's going to be a tough game, and then the winner of that gets either Peoria High or Morton, and anything can happen after that.
Well, that's a good segue there, Pat, because the next game we're going to talk about.
And if Bloomington High wins, they're hosting.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're hosting, which
Yes.
is crazy.
So Peoria High Morton is the next game kind of up
How
on our
about
5A
that?
list. This is one that there was really no excuse for people not to show up to, guys. They're right down the road. It's at Peoria Stadium. Morton's 20 minutes away. Like, gotta get the crowds out for this one. It'll be a fun game.
Text mom and dad, do a little
Saturday-
carpool, whatever you got to do.
Saturday evening, the Lions taking on the Potters. And,
Under the lights.
The
This is-
Adam O'Neill Bowl.
It is the Adam O'Neill Bowl.
Yeah, again, for those of you that don't know, Morton's head coach Adam O'Neill was a former Peoria High assistant. I believe he was part of that state championship team back
He
in
was.
2016. And then after that, he went to go take a job in Manhattan, Kansas.
Heck yeah, baby.
And then came back, and now is the head coach at Morton. So that's going to be kind of a fun reunification there. Again, I'm sure him and Aaron Montgomery pretty close. Montgomery's been a longtime assistant as well. That's going to be another great, all Peoria matchup in Class 5A. So we're going to have guaranteed at least have one team in the Class 5A quarterfinals. Peoria High, I saw them last week. That's how I ended my weekend. Big win over MacArthur. It's funny, MacArthur, they onside kicked to start the game, very first play, drove down the field and scored a touchdown. Offense was pretty good. I was like, okay, we might have ourselves a bit of a ball game. And that was not the case at all.
No.
Peoria High just went crazy. Breon Green looked amazing running the football. He is really starting to have some big games on the ground recently. Yeah, and this again, Peoria High, 3 straight games now. That's this. We talked about last week. They've had 2 straight games allowing 14. Now they've had 3 straight games where they've only allowed 14 points. And you have an offense as high powered as they will. That's going to win you some football games.
Well, and I know especially with Peoria High, we talk about their athletes. This is an incredible battle of the trenches. Both teams have sizable offensive lines and defensive lines. I think this is going to be a very fun matchup of who can win on the front 5 because Peoria High has size, Morton has size. Peoria High also blocks very well for their running quarterback and Detarian Pollard. I mean, this could be a game I could envision it being 60-50. I could also envision it being, 17-14.
Are we going to see Soren Pfeiffer against Jaquarius Green?
That's what I'm hoping so.
Oh boy, that would be fun. Man.
And then also
one-on-one
something-
matchups.
Something else that's pretty cool. You talked about guaranteed to have a quarterfinals. We're also guaranteed to have a semifinals out of that, and then they could face Washington. So
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
I did say when this bracket came out to myself, there is a chance, and obviously a lot of stuff has to happen. There is a chance Peoria High could make a run to state without ever leaving Central Illinois.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
They're at home the first 2 weeks. Bloomington could play
would be at
Bloomington
Bloomington.
in the third round.
Yep.
They could in the semifinals if they were to win that matchup. Play Washington,
Yep.
and then states at ISU. Their furthest trip would be that quarterfinal round against Bloomington.
And if they were
Yeah.
to play Bloomington, win that game, they would then host, correct?
Well,
Or how does that work when
Washington
it gets
as a
down to the-
one
It
seed.
kind of depends. It kind of depends on how the bracket all shakes out.
I was gonna say a lot would have to happen for that scenario.
There's a lot of scenarios, and right now I think we're it's easy to predict. The
But we're
first
dreamers
round.
on the CI Sports Zone podcast. This is what we do. We need
Exactly.
to speak these things into existence.
I would think Washington would host because they both have 2 home games in their first 2 rounds. So I would think they'd both have to go on the route for the quarters.
Now, if Washington faces Kankakee though next week, that'd be 3 home games in a row for Washington. They would assuredly be on the road for the semifinals if it'd be
Yes.
Washington at Peoria High. Now, if Washington goes to Providence Catholic, and they win
Right.
this week, they go to Providence Catholic next week, they win that game, then it would be at Washington because both teams would have 2 home games, 1 away game. Washington wins the seed tiebreaker 1-3.
Right.
Very good.
well, that's hey, lots of cool stuff going on in the 5A playoffs. Kind of everyone should keep their eyes on that as things could get very interesting for Central Illinois and
yeah, and I promise you guys, I'm listening. I'm doing my best Adam Schefter impersonation.
Keeping
today
up with the
because
trade deadline?
it's the
Tommy
trade-
Sources over
Yes. It's the trade. It's the NFL trade deadline. I love that we're recording the podcast on deadline day because guess what? The podcast ends at the same time as the NFL deadline. So
if the Chiefs don't make a trade, I will go off
I'm just
on this
looking to make
podcast.
sure we don't miss anything, and I would love to break some news. That would be fun.
All right.
But
Moving forward now a little bit here, moving down to 4A now. P&D with a big win over Marengo, 35-21, 14-point win there. Will face Lombard Montini, which is also a pretty cool school name if you ask me. They'll be at Richwoods if this is correct at what I'm looking at on
yep,
Saturday
they are hosting.
at 3 p.m.
They're hosting the 1 seed.
But Lombard coming off a 50-6 win over Chicago Urban Prep Bronzeville, so that co-op up there. So kind of that's
That's gonna be a tough game.
Yeah.
And if I
for
may,
P&D.
fellas, I
Now-
told Patrick this.
Is this your call?
This is my call right now. I have a very spicy take for this weekend of high school football playoffs. So we have Peoria Notre Dame, 9 seed hosting. We have DMAC, a 10 seed hosting. We have Tri-Valley and Hayworth, 2 9 seeds also hosting. That's 4 teams.
Can I take a guess at which one you're going to say?
I'm not going to predict who I think's going to win.
Okay.
But actually, we probably are thinking the same team, I bet. But here's my spicy take. One of those 4 teams is going to pull off a massive upset this weekend. At home, hopefully the home crowd, the juices are flowing. Big game on Saturday, the chance to knock off a 1 seed or a 2 seed. One of those 4 teams, I'm calling it right now, are winning and pulling off a stunning upset.
I like it.
That is my spicy take.
Heck
for this
yeah.
weekend.
I think
Come on.
I think it could happen, and I get.
Oh, if JM is saying it has a chance, we're good.
Well, here's what I was going to add to that is I think my biggest upset pick, again, I'm not, necessarily going to say right now, I did do a little bit more research, but I think the team that could pull off an upset this week is also in Class 4, right? That's Metamora.
That was my pick.
They're on the road. They're unlike the other schools you mentioned, Thomas. So it wouldn't be necessarily a home upset win. But again, I think Metamora could potentially. I think they got what it takes to go into Morris and beat Morris on the road. Again, Morris is obviously a great team. Again, that's another team I have a lot of respect for year in year out. And I've seen them play a little bit here and there, but especially if Jadon Cranford can have kind of a Jadon Cranford legacy game, 150 yards and up, couple of touchdowns. I think Metamora.
We've seen him do it. He's done that in a half against Morton. Mm-hmm. I think he gets it done. So you have those 4 teams plus Metamora will not discriminate against the Metamora Redbirds on the road. Because again, to your point, JM, when you have a difference maker, a game changer like Jadon Cranford who can take over the game, especially on the ground, and we all love Stephen Petrie. He can throw the ball as good as anybody in our area.
He only needed to throw it one time last week.
Yes.
That's all they needed to do in a 62-14 win.
That's crazy.
I mean,
Anyway, back to your point, Thomas. But
I love it.
In this class, P&D, I think, of all of our local teams, has the toughest matchup there with Lombard Montini. Now, they definitely have a chance. I mean, last year, how many of us would have picked that they would have beaten Rochester?
Exactly.
So this is a team that's pulled this kind of upset in the past. They are at home. That does help a lot. Montini, though, is obviously a very solid program. So that would honestly probably shock the entire state. But P&D shocked the entire state last year, so it is certainly possible.
I was going to say.
If I had to pick one of our teams, though, for an upset, though, Metamora beating Morris would have been mine. I'm going to put in my call. You don't have to reveal whether I'm correct, Thomas. I'm guessing you're thinking DMAC.
So DMAC was on the table. I really like Tri-Valley too because I felt like Tri-Valley going in was underseeded.
Tri-Valley, I was going to say, I agree.
I felt like they were underseeded. I get that they lost one game. I just think to me, some of these teams are just going to be so motivated to go, okay, we were underseeded. We're going to go out and shock the world. So, I mean, Tri-Valley would be my pick, and I believe that's one of my stops. And I just, Patrick has said this. I have just had some magic this year. I saw Olympia upset Royal Forsyth when they upset the Trojans when they were number 1, and I just feel like I'm gonna see some magic on Saturday. That's what it's about. I want to see that. I want these teams in our coverage area to have that special moment where it's like, hey, we just knocked off the top dog in the bracket. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm with you guys. Love Metamora's chances. But P&D is interesting because they run that wishbone T offense, right? That's not an easy offense to defend. I mean, I was at Central Catholic. We're going to talk about them in a little bit, but the team that they were playing against, literally their first drive was a 10.5-minute, wing tee, just hand the ball off, get 3 yards, and that was the first drive that Central Catholic had on defense, and then they ended up adjusting and winning that game. But I just think it frustrates high school teams if you cannot stop a team on the ground, and if they can chew up clock, then it puts all the pressure on the offense. Okay, they just took the ball for, over half the quarter. We got to score or we're screwed. So
well, and here's I was part of a triple option team in high school, and we played a lot in college. Friends University and is a big NAIA triple option team. They're ranked 4th in the country right now in NAIA. Here's the problem with it. I've said it before on here. Triple option's all about discipline. That's why the service academies run it, because you have smaller linemen and it's discipline. If the offense can be more disciplined than the defense is, the defense has to account for 3 people at least every single play getting the football. If one person messes up the assignment, you're busting. And here's the thing is, you chunk 3 yards, you chunk 3 yards, you chunk 3 yards, you pull it and pitch it for 60. The one problem that I've noticed that comes with triple option, however, is when you need to score quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's the thing with triple option is you have to make sure that you're
keeping it
close or you're in the lead because if you have to try to score 2 touchdowns in 3 minutes, it's not going to bode your way very well. So and then especially as we've talked about, it's a little bit chillier now. If you have established you can run the football, you have a pretty good chance here as we get colder because your receivers don't have to worry about trying to catch a ball. You're just running the ball already. You've been doing it all season, so you're a little more seasoned to the change in weather where we kind of want to keep the ball on the ground more anyway, and then as it starts to rain more, things like that. So that's why I've always been a big fan of triple option when it comes, and especially in high school, later in the season, you're just kind of more fit for the elements that are about to be thrown at you.
I will say with, 3 yards and a cloud of dust is what that offense is, especially running down the play clock. I mean, that could demoralize a defense when you have a 15-play, 70-yard drive. On the flip side of that, if you take a 10.5-minute drive and you don't score, especially if you're already down, that can also, the morale flip can then change to you. So if you're going to take that long and try and score, you better score.
Yeah.
Because you're about to have a very dejected defense when they head back out there.
Well, fellas, we have gone through, so far we're down to 3A now. We do need to take a quick little break here. Patrick's got some things he's got to go do the rest of the day. Apparently he has an actual job.
He's got some other sports duties he's got to get to. So we're going to interviews.
We are going to take a real quick break. When we come back, we will be talking 3 through 1A, and then we'll kind of move on from there. So we will be right back. Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of the CI Sports Zone, where we have been talking about some playoff football here. Joining with me, my co-host Thomas Garverick and Jonathan Michael. Fellows, we just got done doing 6 through 4A. We will now begin here with some 3A football, as we have Bloomington Central Catholic coming off a 41-20 win over Princeton, who is facing Monmouth Roseville,
Monrose, baby.
Who came off a 39-14 win over Mantino.
Yep.
Hey, I'm still trying to learn all these names. That's why I'm trying to pronounce them now. The 4 versus 5 matchup. I think this is kind of the first 4 or 5 we've really gotten to talk about here. What are we expecting here from the Central Catholic? The football team here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna have a pretty high scoring game. Monmouth Roseville averages 41 points a game. BCC, we've seen them put up plenty of points, so I think we could see definitely we could see a track meet. I think here in this 3A quarterfinal again. BCC is a team that in the past few years has been 2A. Sometimes I think maybe even 1A at times, but obviously they're up in now 3A. But I still like them. I think to again, make a deep run again. Valshan Powell. I mean, it's just 2 words really to say it all for BCC. Obviously, they have a lot more than him, but I mean, he is really the big difference maker. You're talking about Cranford Metamora. That's Valshan Powell. Arguably even more so for BCC.
Yeah, he was awesome on Saturday. That was my first stop. Again, my first opportunity to see Central Catholic, and he took the first play from scrimmage 70 yards to the house, and then he scored again later after Princeton. I was talking earlier about that. Princeton had a 10.5-minute drive, their first drive. They ended up scoring a touchdown. And so Central Catholic, that defense, they figured it out, obviously rolled to a big win, but really impressed with Mr. Powell in that game. Just an explosive athlete and can, to your point, JM, similar to Jadon Cranford, can just take over a game whenever he wants to. And so, yeah, that'll be a fun 4-5 matchup. That'll be my first stop of the day again on Saturday. So looking forward to seeing Central Catholic again.
And if BCC pulls that off, which it's in Bloomington at Central Catholic, they could have a very funny chance to face Aurora Central Catholic, but we talked about that. Might not be the most likeliest of
Richmond Merton is going to roll, and they're going to roll big.
But it could be very funny if the 2 Central Catholics rolled up against each other.
Jonathan says the upset of that, the likelihood of an upset taking place is not strong.
Well, no. If I am not mistaken, that appears to be our only 3A.
We did have Olympia. I want to give a quick little shout out to the Spartans, who unfortunately had a heartbreaking loss. That was one of my stops on Saturday. Wonderful fan base. Their student section was really good to me this year, so just wanted to give them a shout out. But tough loss for them. That game was back and forth between them and Greenville. Greenville traveled really well for that game, too. I was really
That's
impressed.
A far drive away.
And that was very far drive.
Not super far, but, I mean, probably upwards of 2 hours.
A 3-point loss. That was, hard fought there by I believe they're the Spartans, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, very hard fought there. So that's kind of the 3A we're seeing this week. Going down to 2A is where we get kind of a little more populated, kind of like we had earlier with, what was that, 5A?
I'm excited about Tri-Valley.
Thomas is
Go on the
down
road, they
Tri-Valley.
You know, JM loved their matchup going to Chicago, and what do? In an 8-9 matchup, they win 44-0, JM.
Yeah, big win. That's about what I expected for Tri-Valley. Now things start to get real for Tri-Valley. They host number 1 seed Rock Ridge. Actually used to live up around the Rock Ridge area. I had some people I know that played for that team back in the 2010s. So,
okay.
I mean, they are a perennial powerhouse. I mean, they just have an incredible tradition there. This year, they have arguably one of the state's best small school quarterbacks, and Colin Schwiegert is his name. So that's going to be a name that Tri-Valley fans are going to have to know, and their defense especially is going to have to know, because they're going to need to obviously prevent him from having a big game and everything like that. But like you said earlier, Thomas, Tri-Valley is a bit underseeded. They dealt with some injuries early in the season. They're a bit healthier now, so I think that Tri-Valley is more of, I think, a 3 or a 4 seed rather than a 9 seed.
Well,
so that's going to be a phenomenal game, and the winner of it's going to
see that game.
And the winner of that game is going to get the winner of another great match between Seneca and Wilmington. So I mean, 2A's is absolutely loaded.
And that community, I mean, a lot of our communities, of course, love their team, but Tri-Valley, they really love their Vikings football team. So I'm excited to see the show up from the community in that one. And again, I love it. They're at home, first home game for them in the playoffs. Chip on their shoulder, going to be a blast getting to see them play Rock Ridge.
We've talked about it a couple of times. One thing about these Central Illinois teams is they're very battle-tested teams. We've talked about it quite a bit. There's a lot of good teams in this area. So their first home game, as you guys said, and coming on, they haven't played schmucks all season really. Let's just call it what it is.
They haven't played any Joe Schmoes.
Yeah. So I think I'm kind of with you guys. I don't obviously know quite as much about these high school teams, but I've seen Tri-Valley play a couple of times, and just knowing who they play, they have a good shot here against this Taylor Rock Ridge. And then another team that we've been talking highly about all season is that El Paso Gridley,
EPG,
who comes off a pretty large win, nothing crazy, against Chicago Marshall, 43-20. Still a big win. 23 points is never a small win.
And from what I heard in that game, EPG was up big time early in that game, and they pulled the starters, and that's when Marshall scored all their points.
That makes some sense then.
From what I heard, I think I heard from Patrick that Kurt Pegler was at that game, and it was not close for a good part of it. So EPG got the starters out of there, gave them some early rest. A couple teams were probably able to do that this week. Tri-Valley and Metamora, all blowout wins. So you're gonna have your starting guys be a little bit more fresh this week.
And especially going home, being at home on Saturday. So against that Sterling Newman Central Catholic.
That's a good Sterling Newman team. I think that's gonna be one of EPG's biggest tests of the season. I think that one could come right down to the wire. I'm going to say right now, that's going to be the closest of the 2A second round games.
Okay. Wow.
Well, and speaking of games that came down to the wire, we've talked about this next one quite a bit here today. Thomas really wanted to bring this one up as Farmington with a 10-8 win.
Almost the shocker of the bracket.
On a blocked
Would have been a
field.
bracket buster. A 14 seed nearly upsetting the 3. Probably the worst that Farmington has played all year, JM. They've played so well for majority of the season, and they block a field goal at less than a 20-yard attempt to save their season.
Yeah, that was Noah Passmore for Farmington. Got the blocked kick with, I think, something like 16 seconds left in the game. Major credit to Farmington's kicker, Johnny Gibbs, who had a field goal earlier and made his. I think that was his first field goal of the entire season.
And that was the difference in the game?
And that was the difference in the game. So, again, Farmington made their kick, and and then they blocked Eastland Pearl City. So, yeah, I mean, we talk about teams that have been battle tested. Farmington is a team. Me and Patrick were talking about it last night. We were at Washington Super Sectional Soccer game. I mean, we say, hey, I think Farmington go really deep. My only concern is, again, they have only beaten a few teams this year that have been truly that impressive. The only team that they've beaten this year that's still alive in the playoffs is Macomb.
Yeah.
Again, they've been dominant in those games. I mean, they've done what they've needed to do. They've won by some pretty huge margins. So, I mean, Farmington is still, again, no pushover by any means. But again, it's just, that Eastern Pearl City team, said it last week, they're battle tested. And that game was going to be a little bit closer than some may think. And turned out it was. So I think Farmington got that taste, and we'll see how they respond against Aurora Christian. That should
I
also
think
be a
this
good game.
has got to be a wake-up call for the Farmers.
And before we move on to 1A here, I think that also highlights how important special teams are. People kind of, especially younger kids, get upset. Oh, I have to play special teams. Like, this is a way to kind of special teams are important. Special teams win games all the time. We see it in the NFL: blocked field goals, kick returns for touchdowns. So, and it's also weighs on teams. Like people don't really look at it. How many NFL players do we see made it onto a roster because they were just studs on the special teams? So it's just one of those things that while it kind of seems boring, special teams are very important, and it just won a high school team a game. And there's a couple other games that I know for sure were decided on that special team side of the field. So it's just never take a break, and a game's never really over when special teams are involved because you don't know what's going to happen. So
100%. I feel good though that El Paso Gridley is going to keep marching. I mean, they just keep handling their business. They keep rolling. I would be shocked if the Titans lost at home. They've played so consistent all season long. We've said that from week 1.
Yeah.
We were surprised. We're like, man, is this team like for real? And they've just every single week they continue to get better. And I think they're going to advance deep in 2A. I really do believe that. So excited to see how the Titans and see how the Farmers respond to, nearly having their season end. So
Again, that EPG Farmington quarterfinal matchup.
Still on the table.
Still alive.
Still on the table.
transferring now a little bit here to the Class 1A, we have the first game here is Hayworth, who came off a pretty decent win over the Princeville Princes, 14-21. Will now take on Stockton, the number 1 seed, who comes off a 26-0 against 16 seed Galena High School. Didn't watch that game, so I don't know like if they pulled starters or anything, but it'll be played at Hayworth at 2 p.m. What are your thoughts on that one, JM?
Yeah, Stockton's a heck of a team. One that really turned a lot of heads in the state back in week 3 when they beat defending, I believe, 2-time defending state champion Lena Winslow, who is, arguably the most dominant football team in the entire state. And so Stockton again plays in a heck of a conference. They are the epitome of battle tested, and they're again 10-0 this season, so they've passed every test so far. This is going to be a tough test for Hayworth for sure. Now, obviously, one guy I do want to highlight a lot for Hayworth, and I've talked about him briefly in some other shows, is I think one of the more underrated players in the area is their running back, Braden Lash. Had 18 carries for 165 and 2 touchdowns last week. He also had 8 tackles plus an interception in that game against Princeville. So, again, that's a good win for Hayworth. They're going to need to play, probably their best game of the season, maybe their best game of their lives. I think, your guys, again, I'm not saying it's impossible.
Sure.
You never know. This is a long road trip for Stockton.
Yeah.
You got to deal with that. They're probably going to be leaving on Friday and staying in hotels somewhere, around Bloomington Normal or Hayworth or somewhere around there. And it's probably something they're not really used to. So we'll see how they respond. You never know what could happen, but, and that's going to be again, should be a great atmosphere in Hayworth too. That new renovated field, new turf, newly dedicated, great fan base over there in Hayworth. So
I will be there for that game. Have not seen the Hornets this year, but and again, we haven't talked about this, but there is rain in the forecast on Saturday. Mm-hmm. There is rain, so I think it'll be interesting. I think this game might be your just classic, just slugfest of a game where it's very low scoring because Hayworth. Obviously, very good defensively. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare with Stockton. And again, we don't know what the forecast is going to look like. I hope that it doesn't pour down rain the whole time I'm out shooting football. But if it rains, that just means all these teams are going to have to play through the elements.
Yeah, and then kind of the last team we got to talk about here, Central Illinois, kind of drew kind of a little bit of a rough draw here for the 1A as DMAC goes and faces on. Oh, Lord. Anawan Weathersfield, who I haven't heard a ton. I don't know a ton, but I've heard that's a very solid football team. They will be playing at DMAC as DMAC.
That is going to be an awesome atmosphere.
Comes out with a
awesome
52-34 win last week over Chicago Crane. Anna won Weathersfield with a 31-8 win over Stark County. This will. What are you thinking for this one?
Sean Denniston.
Yeah, you read my
Remember
mind.
the name.
Read my mind.
He was our extra effort award winner here that Kurt just did a story on him, and boy, did he have the game of his lifetime in round one. I think he also had 5 touchdowns, or did he only have 4?
I
saw DMAC tweeted. I think
can
he
pull
either
it
had
up here
4 or
real
5
quick.
touchdowns. He was unbelievable. And they're going to need another Superman performance from him on Saturday if they want to knock off the 2 seed here. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to see DMAC at home.
Yeah, Dennison had 199 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Ooh.
He also had 3 catches for 12 yards and a touchdown.
So he did have 5
total
touchdowns.
touchdowns. How about their quarterback, too? Zach Day, Mr. Do-It-All, went 7 for 7 passing for 31 yards and a touchdown, 5 rushes, 34 yards and a touchdown, and 1 touchdown catch for 39 yards and a touchdown. So
He's
DMAC
really underrated.
must have had some trickery there, getting their quarterback involved in their
Yeah.
receiving game. So,
Yeah.
But again, hats off to DMAX, the team that's been waiting for a playoff win for a long time. They've made the playoffs a lot in the past few years, but haven't been able to get that first round win. They got it. Now they got a home game. Now it's, can you make some magic happen at home against Anawan Weathersfield? So I'm really looking forward to that game. Again, I obviously can only be at one place at one time. I'll be called in Washington Muhammad Seymour, but if I had to pick another game to be at, I wish I could be at that DMAC Anawan
Yeah.
Weathersfield.
I kind of talked Kurt into, I'm like, hey, just start me at 1 o'clock in Bloomington and just let me work my way north. I want to see DMAC at 3 because this is one of the games where I just feel like magic's going to happen. We love a good story. This would be a great story if DMAC, to your point, JM, hasn't seen a ton of recent playoff success. They win their first playoff game in a while. And then if they're able to win this game at home, they knock off the 2 seed, that would be such a magical run. So I'm here for a great story. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Well, that is kind of our playoff look from last week going into next week. Jonathan, we really appreciate you joining us as always. And thank you, everyone, for watching on the WMBD Plus app and YouTube. Wherever you're watching, I don't really care. But we will be back here after a short break. WMBD's Alex Berger will be joining us. We're going to talk some NFL. Trade deadline is in, when you see this, it won't be in 10 minutes, but it is in 10 minutes from when we are recording this right now.
We'll give some final updates.
So we will be back here with some trade updates and maybe a little bit of fantasy talk here as well. So we'll be back. Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of the CI Sports Zone. I am Christopher Huslig. Joining with me today, as usual, Thomas Garverick. And, joining with us also is kind of our residential. That helps if I bring up the right one, guys. Hold up.
Oh,
I forgot.
rip to Jonathan.
I forgot we moved these around.
It's over. He's gone.
Let's
go.
If I could find the right button now.
almost.
There we go. All right, I got it.
All right.
I
There we
forgot we
go.
adjusted them
We're
a
back.
little bit. After,
you miss me?
After a 2-week hiatus, Alex is indeed back, and we did. No, we didn't.
Alex was doing his main job as one of our news reporters at the station, covering a very important trial
was.
in the area. So he's
Yes.
been doing that the last 2 weeks, and I know he's glad that is past him. It's a lot of work. I remember being in your shoes when I first started out in the industry, and it's a grind when you're covering the same thing day after day. So
Yes, to
kudos to
say
you.
the
You
least.
deserve a mental break, man.
Well, fellas,
big time.
we had a lot of high school to talk about, so now we're going to
NFL.
we're just going to jump over college football. I know
Yeah,
we
we're
haven't- I know we
boycotting that
haven't-
until YouTube TV gets
I
their
know we really haven't talked
stuff
about it
figured out.
much, but
Cool with me.
The main point of this podcast for us is the high school coverage. You
Yep.
guys can look up whatever you want about college, not hard.
Yep.
So now we're just going to talk, as you've seen throughout the podcast, Thomas and I checking down at our phones, looking for Adam Schefter updates.
Schefter said that AJ Brown,
Brown
is
will
not
not-
going to get traded. I don't think anybody expected him to get traded. I know
for
he's been
those-
unhappy, but
for those of you who don't know, we are recording this podcast, and so it is 2:54 right now. Trade
Yep.
deadline's at 3, so we're trying to
3 Central, 4 Eastern time.
Yep. So,
So, I think-
we're looking, and Adam said something very interesting that I thought was really cool. There have been 6 trades today, tied for the 3rd most on any trade deadline day going back to 1990. and there were 10 trades on November 1st, 2022, and 8 trades in 2024.
We're in the year of the trades,
So
man.
if the Chiefs don't hurry up and pick up Breece Hall in this trade deadline, I'm going to lose my mind.
He's staying put, unfortunately.
No, he's not. Nope.
I don't think he gets moved. It's one of those. He's
It's-
that player this year that everyone thinks they're going to get.
He really wants
and
out. He's been tweeting about
Yeah.
it all day. He wants out of there.
They're going to release him after the season. He's not going to be traded.
Well,
And-
I think his rookie deal is up.
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
believe.
He's
So-
just not going to get traded. I don't think he will. He is a earlier than 3 o'clock player to be traded. Personally, that's just my personal opinion. At this point, I think GMs are really just cooking up picks if they are trading anything. Honestly, to tell you guys, the trade that surprised me, 2 trades surprised me a lot. That doesn't happen in the NFL. Personally, Sauce Gardner to the Colts.
I think they overpaid for him.
Now, while they did overpay, still, that could be pretty interesting.
One
I don't think
NFL
Sauce Gardner
insider said that the Parsons deal was surprising.
Yep.
But this deal was shocking.
Oh,
the
yeah.
fact that the Jets
out of
traded
the
him.
blue.
But you know what? The Jets get 2 first-round picks for him. They got
Yeah.
a first-round pick for Quinnen Williams. They're saying, you know what? We are not going to be contenders for a long time because
No.
we've all seen Justin Fields, and it's not working. Whatever offense they're calling up there in New York is just,
Well,
it's
and
just
then-
putrid.
and then-
it's
And then
terrible.
Quinn.
In 2026, they'll have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and then in 2027, the Jets are sitting on 3 first-round picks.
The Jets
Yeah.
are trying to
So they-
get Mr. Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sane from Ohio State. That's what they're trying to do here.
They also are sitting on quite a bit of leverage there for trading for maybe some veterans if they need them with
Maybe.
5 first-round picks in the next 2 years.
Yeah, and I think that Quinnen Williams deal kind of seals the deal for them, that they are just in full rebuild mode. I'm interested to see what this looks like for their defense next week. I mean, it's not like they're injured.
They had a defense? No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
right. I mean, whoever the quarterback is that's playing that defense next week, you got to start them.
I got a news flash for you guys. They're playing the Browns. So it
Oh, Dylan Gabriel.
They're playing my Cleveland Browns. It does not matter.
It is time for Dylan Gabriel to shine. He's going
This
to put
is
up
so
49.
I'm just going to say this as a Cleveland sports fan. This is
Yep.
so fitting that this is a game that the Jets with Quinn Williams and Sauce are going to probably destroy the Browns defensively, right? But now the Browns are probably going to win this game. The Browns are going to hurt their draft stock. They're going to hurt their pick. And it's going to just blow up the future plans for the Cleveland. This is what has been the story of the Cleveland Browns. I take you all the way back to when the Bengals in the draft, they got both A.J. Green and Andy Dalton.
Oh, yeah.
The Browns wanted
2007
A.J.
or 8.
Green. But guess what? The Bengals were 1 pick in front of them
Yep.
because the Browns were winning meaningless games that year. It's going to happen all over again. The Browns are going to win on Sunday. I don't want them to win. I want them to keep losing.
Yeah.
I want them to be competitive, but I want them to keep losing.
You know, I do want to say
They're going to lose to the Ravens. They're going to lose to the Niners. I
Yeah.
hope they go to Vegas and get crushed by the Raiders. They play the
Whoa.
Titans at home, too. The Browns are going to have 4 wins, guys.
Hey, speaking of teams that don't have 4 wins, but more than 4 wins,
Not good.
shout out to Christopher and I's teams, Carolina Panthers and Kansas City Chiefs. The
Oh,
same
Lord.
kind of team, right?
Wow.
Both championship built.
Panthers
right?
with the shocker of the
Both-
weekend. Go on the road, get a big win.
Here's the thing.
Pretty crazy.
It was one of our biggest upset games ever. We were down. We were not favored by 2 touchdowns, or I guess I should spin that. The Packers were favored by 2 touchdowns. The narrative that I'm kind of not too happy to see, not even just as a Panthers fan, but just as an NFL fan, they're calling the Panthers the lowly Panthers. We were 4-4. We weren't like Dolphins or Jets level.
Sure.
The Packers obviously were considered the juggernaut when we started the season, but at the same time, we can be just as competitive as pretty much any team in the league, and that's football in general.
We do have one trade in real fast.
Oh, what is it?
We have a trade.
Deadline deal. Saints are trading offensive line Trevor Penning to the Chargers.
You got me. When you said Saints, I thought you were going to say Olave.
That'd be
Olave.
crazy. That would be the stupidest thing they ever do. If they were to trade Olave, they would trade, who's the other guy that they had? Michael Thomas. Is he still on the team? Actually, can we can we check if he is still on the team? That doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, I am so happy that my Panthers got a win and are now positive. Honestly, was the last time we were positive when we went to the Super Bowl? Honestly, I am just asking. Genuinely,
Well-
I don't remember the last time.
Well, unfortunately, we are running out of time here. It does
Yep.
not appear as of right now there are going to be any more trades as we're running down to the final seconds
Christopher Huslig traded
here. Yeah, right.
from WMED to the Kansas City Chiefs.
So,
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, thank you guys so much
Wow.
for joining
Wait,
us.
we got to make Monday night picks really quick.
Oh, yes.
No, we'll be. Oh, okay.
We got to make a Monday night pick really
Okay,
quick.
okay, wait.
Packers Eagles, really good Monday night game.
Oh, yes, it is.
We all picked the Cowboys.
Eagles.
And that was terrible.
I'll go first, Eagles.
I'm also gonna take the Eagles.
I don't know what it is, man.
That their team's just better.
It's a better team. Eagles.
Eagles.
Are you meditating?
I'm picking the Packers. I have to. I was going to pick the Eagles, but
He has to.
I'm going to be sharp. I'm going to be sharp here. I'm picking the Packers.
Let's hear it.
They just lost.
It's not working, but
I don't care anymore. I'm buying us pizzas.
I'm buying his pizzas. All right, guys. Thank
Taking
you
the knee.
guys so much for joining us on the WMBD Plus app, CI Proud, YouTube, wherever you're watching. We will be back next week with another episode. Until then.